Because Ace Frehley was with Kiss.
Okay.
Right? And
so you would ask him questions and he wouldn't
really
respond.
Answer. Yeah. It was very frustrating, but I do believe we are back in the groove.
In the New York groove.
In the New York groove.
Yeah.
It's not any groove, it's the New York groove.
What makes you believe that?
Because I feel it. I can't describe it. It's a feeling.
I was in my office getting ready for the show, and you were out here on set giving the tease of what's coming up on our show. And he said, we've got the Jeopardy winner on, who he won. One of the reasons he won is because he knew that by the name of our show, Fox and Friends. And you said he gave us an exclusive interview. He decided not to go on any of the shows.
At the last minute, he pulled himself
bailed on
out
all
of
the other
New Day,
shows
on CNN and decided to go with us.
Got it. Smart.
I'm not familiar with that show. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We're back in the New York groove, and you know what? We've got a busy 3 hours. It starts right now with this. It is the final farewell to George Herbert Walker Bush, born in 1924, and was about to be buried later today. This is a live look inside St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston, Texas, where the president is lying in repose.
Yeah, there are huge crowds there lining up. They showed up overnight to pay their respects to Bush 41.
And I'm just thinking about Jim McGrath, his longtime aide, who published a tweet saying that Bush 41 thought, will anyone go? He worried that no one would show up. Man, did they show up. William Lajeunesse joins us live from the Presidential Library in College Station, where the president will be buried today. Hey, William.
Good morning, Brian. Imagine what an emotional roller coaster it has been for the Bush family. Anyone who has lost someone close knows you just try to get through the service in one piece. The Bushes had the Rotunda on Monday, Tuesday, the National Cathedral yesterday, and then another service today at 10 a.m. in Houston at St. Martin's. The eulogy delivered by former Secretary of State James Baker and the president's grandson, George P. Bush. Now, following that service, the funeral train will come here to College Station. Now, one of the reasons the president chose Texas A&M as his final resting place, it was founded as a military college. They still have many of the traditions here. We spoke to some of the 2,400 cadets, and they said they will be honored to be part of today's ceremony.
There's a lot of things that you can emulate from President George Bush. We hope to really carry on the traditions of showing the utmost respect to every tradition and everything that we stand for.
So the train is going to pass through 8 cities, 70 miles. It will slow down, but it will not stop. Now, along the sides, there's plexiglass on the funeral car, allowing those who line the route to see the casket inside. It will arrive here around 3:25. It will be met by a chorus of cadets as well as the Aggie Band. The funeral, well, they were common. These funeral trains were common in the 1800s and 1900s. Lincoln, Grant, Roosevelt, and the last one, Eisenhower, in 1969.
People are not as accustomed to travel by passenger rail on train. We mainly haul freight. But President Bush, as a veteran of World War II, he went to war on the train. He came home from war on the train. And I think that emotional connection to the railroad really stuck with him.
So the train is going to stop about a mile from here. The family will get off the passenger cars, followed by the casket. Then it will make a short drive here. The Navy will have a 21-jet flyover, and then, of course, the third jet in that missing man maneuver will head towards the heavens. The family will then disappear in the area behind me with sycamores and oaks to the burial area where the president will be buried with alongside Barbara and, of course, their daughter Robin, who died of leukemia at age 3. And then you'll hear that final 3-volley shot telling us that the president is now gone with the ages, but his legacy will live on here at the university and the library. Guys, back to you.
All right,
He's finally home.
Live in College Station. I love the idea of this train that looks like the 747. Bush 4141, Union Pacific. I've been reading up about it. Union Pacific back in, I think, 2005, 2006, decided to do this, dedicated especially to him. And William mentioned the last time they had a funeral train was with Dwight Eisenhower when he was buried back in 1969. And I was there. I was a 6th grade kid. In Abilene, Kansas, we saw the train pull up and saw them take the body off of the train right there in the Abilene Depot. It is a day that Texas will never forget.
He deserves it. Yeah, there were a lot of people there yesterday. Phil Mickelson was there, Peyton Manning, Prince Charles was there, Angela Merkel, not to mention all the political figures that were there too.
That first row was magical. All the presidents, no matter who you voted for or didn't, it was great to see them all.
they seemed, it didn't seem like they were all talking to each other.
Can you give me 1 second to be idealistic before you shoot me down? Can we wait for the commercial? Meanwhile, there's no doubt about it. The Bush family prides themselves on the emotion. They say, listen, we're a family of ballers. So you wonder how President George W. Bush, who was so close to his dad, would handle getting through the eulogy. And here's a portion of it.
We're going to miss you. Your decency, sincerity, and kind soul will stay with us forever. So through our tears, let us know the blessings of knowing and loving you, a great and noble man, the best father a son or daughter could have. And in our grief, let us smile knowing that Dad is hugging Robin and holding Mom's hand again.
Of the 4 eulogists, his was the only speech that got applause. But there wasn't a dry eye in the house.
When he mentioned Robin was 3 years old when she died of leukemia, a nightmare for a parent, I can only imagine. She was born in 1953, and now the 3 of them are back together again.
Right. So I hearken back to the respect that the president's getting right now in death is gratifying, but yet I also remember vividly how he was treated in life, especially in his 4 years in office. Brit Hume actually covered him then, got to know the family well, and put it all in perspective last night.
For this occasion, when this man is getting at last, I think, the recognition that he deserved for what was a momentous and important presidency in which very important things were accomplished that were kind of overlooked at the time because in part because they went well. So I was honored to be there and to see it all and to hear it all and experience it all.
Jon Meacham, who was the first of the eulogists, gave the former President George Herbert Walker Bush a chance to hear the speech. Because keep in mind, they have been planning this funeral since 2011. And Meacham said the former president, 41, looked at it and heard it and then goes, "That's a lot about me, John." But then again, it's supposed to be all about him. And as you watched yesterday, and it was impossible to stop watching because it was, you know, when we bury our presidents, the American federal government does such a beautiful job, and given the fact that the Bush family has planned this for so long, such attention to detail, it was beautiful.
And there were some sweet moments, some touching moments, and some funny moments. 43 talked about how his dad was no Fred Astaire. He couldn't dance very well, and he hates vegetables, especially broccoli.
Right, and he goes, and I inherited both those
Pass
things.
that trait on.
All right, now soon with President Bush's body now in Houston, he'll be buried later on today. Washington is trying to get back to business as usual and fighting as usual, which is so much a part of what we've been witnessing over the last few years. The Senate and House is expected to pass a short-term spending bill. It lasts about a couple of weeks to avoid a shutdown. I think it's only right and polite. However, the big issue has not been solved yet, and that is what's happening at our border, the funding of the border wall, which the president ran on and won on, as well as the decision by Secretary of Defense Mattis to leave our troops on the border past Christmas, and they're bracing for a surge of illegal immigrants in Arizona now.
Oh, yeah, we saw what happened in Tijuana, where Tijuana borders with San Diego, and that was on November 25th, and we saw those folks trying to storm the border. That's when the Border Patrol agents had to use the tear gas because the migrants were throwing rocks and debris, according to the agents. They were taunting the agents. And now they're worried that this could happen in Arizona, so they had a major training session, a large-scale operational readiness exercise, just to prepare.
That's right. Also, a couple of days ago, apparently, one of the members of the migrant community there in Tijuana climbed over the border fence and landed on the American side, and she was 8 months pregnant. And she was arrested along with some others, and then she had the baby here on American soil, and the baby now, according to law, is an American citizen. She did say that her dream was to come to the United States and do that, be reunited with her family in Columbus, Ohio. And she said that giving birth on U.S. soil was the big reward for the long journey all the way from Honduras.
Brings up the debate of birthright citizenship, which the president brought up a couple of weeks right before Election Day. I think
it's the law.
The president's not for it. He says it's ridiculous, and he wants to sign an executive order to end it.
If you're the President of the United States and you want to show people what I was saying from 2016 to today, and that is building the wall and getting security is a major issue in America, what is playing out right now is exactly what the president said. It is chaos on the border. They need help. They need a barrier. And I think he's going to go to the mat to get his $5 billion.
Well, that 19-year-old that gave birth, she was released from custody pending her immigration case. Her family was released as well because of the catch and release. Her child is now an American citizen. All right, let's hand it over to Carly, who has some headlines for us. Hey, Carly.
Morning, Carly.
Hey, and we begin here with a Fox News alert. A desperate search underway right now for 5 Marines after a warplane collides off the coast of Japan. 2 crew members have been rescued so far. One of them is in fair condition. The second Marine is being evaluated at a hospital. The fighter jet and refueling plane crashed during a routine training exercise like the one seen here. We'll bring you more information on this as it comes in. At least 2 people are dead after a semi-truck slams into a packed school bus head-on. The bus carrying a high school girls basketball team on an Illinois interstate. A 72-year-old team volunteer and the truck driver are dead. At least 4 students are injured. This is the second crash this week involving students on Monday. A bus carrying a youth football team flipped in Arkansas. A 9-year-old boy was killed there. And listen to this. An Amazon worker is in critical condition after a machine punctures a can of bear repellent, sending fumes into the air. 2 dozen employees at the New Jersey warehouse rushed to the hospital with burning eyes and throats and difficulty breathing. Bear repellent is very similar to pepper spray. And President Trump will speak at 2 White House Hanukkah receptions today. All Jewish members of the House and Senate are invited. Tonight marks the 5th night of Hanukkah. The ceremonies were delayed to honor President George H.W. Bush. And those, guys, are your headlines.
A busy day. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Carly.
Carly.
Thank you.
All right. Meanwhile, Special Counsel investigator Robert Mueller says former Trump advisor Michael Flynn should not go to jail because he was so cooperative. So should the Trump camp be concerned? Andy McCarthy doesn't think so. He'll explain why. Coming up next.
Plus, Senator Kristen Gillibrand rumored to be a 2020 contender. But she wants you to forget about men.
Exactly.
She says the future is female.
I hear